Welcome to the Merge Feast, the podcast where we satisfy your cravings for all things Survivor. We're your hosts, Sam and Mags, and this is a recap for season 45, episode 9. We're almost to the double digits on episodes here. Let's rate this episode from a scale of 10 to 15.
Interesting scale choice. 13.
13?
Yeah.
It's middle of the pack for you?
Yeah. Good,
But
not
hey,
great.
I think so too. I had some disappointments in this episode, but there were some
Yeah.
good things that also happened in this episode.
Right. The twists made it interesting, but the gameplay wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be.
I know what you mean. But did you give the show points for the showmance?
Yeah, there's some promising sparks here.
There are. And where there are sparks, there is burning fires of love.
Burning love, some might say.
Well, let's get to the recap. It's your turn to do your Jeff impression.
Previously on Survivor.
It's pretty good.
Thank you.
We get a recap of all the idols, the immunity challenge. Everybody's, strategizing with everybody else. And of course, the Kelly blindside that punctuated last episode. Pretty intense blindside.
Yeah.
Emotional, raw, just a visceral reaction from Kelly after she was voted out.
I think people are scared to give a big reaction because they don't want to they don't want the fans to not like them or to seem bitter. But Kelly had her reaction and everybody loves her for it.
Just added to her, I don't want to say
Likeability.
Yeah, exactly. To her legend, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
After this, we go to the beach. Night after tribal council. Kendra is sitting on the beach mourning Kelly.
Toasting to her dead friend. Cheers, Kel.
Here's to you.
Like she's dead.
She basically is.
She's just in Ponderosa, relaxing, eating a burger probably.
I could think of nothing worse. She's just toasting her dead friend. There's nothing wrong with that.
I feel like it's one of those things that in the moment she felt really, sad about it, and it felt like a sweet, tender thing to do. But in the light of day, it was a little much. Things are always more dramatic at night. I think she just should have held off on doing this and just thought, we'll see if it's a good idea in the morning.
Apparently they were really, really close. I mean, I figured everybody kind of gets to know everybody, but I didn't realize these two were
I had
so
no
close.
idea that they were so tight.
Yeah,
This is the type of reaction I would expect from like Austin and Drew getting separated, not Kendra and what's her name?
Kelly.
Kelly.
Yeah, if Austin and Drew get separated, I will be toasting
Yeah.
their dead relationship. But on the flip side of that, Jake couldn't be more psyched to have been kept around.
Yeah.
He's laughing it up. He's happy. He's on cloud 9.
Right.
And then he comes to the realization, oh, wait, I'm still at the bottom and I don't have any friends.
But I still admire him keeping it light.
Yeah, for this brief moment,
Yeah.
he has life. He's kind of reborn,
Right.
right?
He does have that realization, and he says, I had no idea it was Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
And has a great quote. He says, I don't even want to say I was left in the dark because I wasn't even left in the same dimension.
He was clueless.
Yeah, that is kind of how far removed he seems from this game.
He spent all last tribal lecturing the other players on why aren't you playing Survivor?
Mm-hmm.
This is it. Stop. Enough with the unanimous votes. Stop just piling on, and now you're all just going to vote me. You guys need to just wake up. And then everybody, it's kind of like if you're lecturing your spouse for not taking out the garbage without checking to see if they took out the garbage. You're like, I can't believe how lazy you are.
Yeah.
Haven't taken out the garbage. That's what happened to Jake at Tribal last night. Yeah, he's in a different dimension for sure. On the other side of things, Bruce, he knows he's a target because of Kelly getting voted out. And he thinks that she got voted out because of him, because he's such a big target.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit true. He's shocked to hear that she didn't want to side with him.
Right.
That she didn't like him.
Yeah. This is almost like hearing that your dead friend had all these secrets that you didn't know about. That was how he was treating this.
We were watching Pretty Little Liars come to life.
And it's funny because basically everybody's like, no, dude, she hated you.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to get you out. She was gunning for you.
Mm-hmm.
And
poor guy's just trying to mourn his number one ally
it's
just
sad.
got voted out.
This was an episode for Bruce. And we can get into it more, but I hope you don't come for me, and I hope people don't come for me in the comments, but maybe I like Bruce now. I don't know.
I've got some problems with the Survivor producers.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it.
Enough with making us like people.
We come here to hate people.
Yeah, I don't want to like everybody. I want to like some people. I want to like some people a lot. I also want to dislike some people.
This is just the way that media is going. You know, in Marvel movies, villains just used to be villains. But now villains have these tragic backstories, and you kind of understand why they do these things. And it's like sad that you have like these villains that you actually kind of like. Mm-hmm. And now we're getting to the same way into reality TV show. They can't just give somebody the villain edit anymore.
Yeah, Bruce, they're killmongering Bruce.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Sam's talking about the guy from Black Panther. Mm-hmm. And the villain of Black Panther, where you can kind of see his side of things. And anyways, all this to say, people aren't just like hated like Russell Hantz anymore. Mm-hmm. It ebbs and it flows.
I mean, granted, Russell Hantz had absolutely zero redeemable qualities.
Well, we wouldn't know because they would never show anything. You don't think he had any talking heads where he showed some emotion, where he cried to the camera?
No, definitely not. I think that guy's just 100% pure evil. But we have Katurah. She's talking with Kendra. Kendra says, I want a gun for Dee. She's the most powerful person in the Reba Alliance. I want to get her out. Katurah flips like a flapjack at a Cracker Barrel, let me tell you. She immediately goes and tells the Reba Alliance all about Kendra's plans to take out Dee and blah, blah, blah.
Why is Kendra starting plans the night after Tribal? I've never seen this happen before.
It's the revenge plans.
Yeah.
If your best friend is killed in battle, what do? You go back to your camp and you go into the big tent, whichever one's the big tent. There's going to be a big table in the middle of it. And you pound on that table. You roll out a big scroll with your plan on it. And you say, we're going there tonight to avenge my friend.
Yeah, I could see this in my head. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of like imagining like Mulan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like with the big tent.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah.
The big tent. Yeah. That is so accurate. There's always a big tent.
There's the command tent. Yeah. If you were imagining it like Mulan, he's probably Kendra had a few pieces on the plan map and was moving around with like a little stick. Yeah, definitely.
Kind of like a shuffleboard type stick.
Exactly. Katurah is ruining all of that. And Austin is just sitting there silently with 2 immunity idols in his pocket.
Incredible. Also, while he's sitting there, like at basketball games or sports games.
Yeah, I love sports games.
Me too. Can't get enough of them. They do like the kiss cam. Well, obviously nobody's kissing on Survivor, but I would like to introduce the snuggle cam.
No.
And it's not much, but I gotta grasp for straws here in a loveless season of Survivor.
Julie and Drew?
Austin and Dee. They're not even laying down, but just kind of, and I know it's going to get more intense throughout the episode, but we just get a little snuggle between the two of them, which I appreciate more than I could ever know.
You're living vicariously through them. Reba hears this information from Katurah, and they make plans to kick out the remaining Bellow members, which is Bruce first and foremost, then Jake, and then Kendra. Of course, Kendra has now upset the ringleader, the most vocal of the Reba 4, which is Dee. She sees herself as leader. I would argue, as a viewer, that Austin is obviously the most powerful.
Yes.
And I think even Drew is probably the most strategic, but Dee is the most vocal.
Yeah, and Austin and Drew are doing a great job of using Dee as a shield.
That's true. Morning time at the Dakuwaka beach. Bruce is lost, and so his likability arc begins.
Yeah. But before he's likable, I got a quote. Now, I know what the fans are wanting, and this is not a drunk man versus Bruce, okay? But he does say how bothered he is that Kelly thought he was overbearing. And here's his quote. I have a daughter at home and a wife that I don't treat any differently than Kelly. When I get home, I'm going to ask them if I'm overbearing. And I thought, that's the problem right there, Bruce. Why are you treating Kelly, this girl that you've known for 14 days, like your daughter or your wife?
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, all just clicks into place. If I met this guy 14 days ago and he started treating me like his daughter, it would be a little bit overbearing.
It is this really interesting moment where you're watching him realize, like, does everybody not like me?
Right.
Because Kelly never told me.
Mm-hmm.
She was just talking behind my back. That's just the way I am,
Mm-hmm.
which is funny because he kind of says, like, that's not my personality. But then he realizes, wait, that's how I treat my daughter
Yeah.
and my wife.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wait, that is my personality. Talks about his upbringing a little bit.
Yeah. He says that he was a child of foster care.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I'm playing Survivor right now, but I've been playing Survivor my whole life. Gave me chills. I have a brother from foster care and my family did foster care all growing up. It really has softened my heart to the foster care system and how rough it is. This definitely opened my heart up to Bruce more than I ever saw coming. And even had a little moment where I'm wondering if Bruce might win this game because he's all of a sudden getting this different edit. He gets this different music, this really tender music, basically the whole episode. And he, in his talking head, says, I don't know, like maybe I'm getting kind of soft, just talking about like treating Kelly like a daughter. It's like maybe in my old age I'm getting soft, and he laughs. And normally where it would cut, it doesn't cut and it just stays on him. And he laughs, and then his face just kind of falls, and you can just see that, like, he's sad. I'm tearing up almost thinking about it. His ally's gone. He's kind of reflecting on a hard life and thinking about his daughter and his wife at home. And it's, like, way sad when they just let that, like, emotion show. You could see he was putting on a face for his talking head, and then in a moment where he thought the camera wasn't going to be, filming him, he, like, lets his raw emotion show. They're trying to make us like him, and newsflash, it's working.
I'm fighting it with every fiber of my being. Drew points out a really interesting point here, which is that Bruce has
tempestuous.
Tempestuous.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear him. Did he say that?
Mm-hmm.
He's tempestuous. I should just quote Drew word for word here. There's no way I can summarize it as succinctly as he says it.
He did great. He's a narrator.
But he really is. And he talks about Bruce has been playing this imaginary game of Survivor, which is true. Bruce has been in his own head. And because he's been safe so much and not have that much at risk, he's not been playing.
Yeah.
He's just been gliding on immunity, whether that's tribal immunity or now individual immunity, and has just been not paying attention to alliances or numbers or how people perceive him or how he comes off even to his own allies.
Yeah.
All of that, he just has constructed this world in his mind where he's on top. And with Kelly gone, that bubble has burst. And Drew has said, Bruce is sitting at a crossroads where he can either acknowledge his failures, realize that he's in this spot now near the bottom because of his own actions, or he can go into denial.
Yeah.
And say, no, I'm still at the top, and, get himself out that way. It's a really interesting point because Drew even says it's going to be difficult for someone like Bruce with as much pride as he has to swallow that pride and admit his own failures to move forward. But we're seeing him kind of do that.
Right.
A little bit.
Drew's a great storyteller. So if he makes it to the final 3, you don't want to be sitting next to him because he's got a great game. And he can speak really eloquently about it. Yeah,
he's very logic-driven in his storytelling. And he lays out facts really nicely.
Did you know what tempestuous means?
What does tempestuous mean? I would guess it means like contentious.
Ooh, wow, you were really close. Conflicting emotions.
Oh.
Which, crazy that word is not thrown around more often, right? Because conflicting emotions is my middle name.
Yeah. I usually just call that sad, mad, glad.
That does roll off the tongue more than tempestuous.
Emily right here is hinting at getting Dee out to kind of test Austin and Drew to see who their strongest alliance is, whether it's her or it's Julie and Dee. And it's very telling. Both Austin and Drew are against the idea. Don't want to get Dee out.
Emily's really good at always keeping her finger on the pulse. She always can read the room. Austin and Drew play this wrong, in my opinion. Nothing's happened. They don't know who's won immunity at this point. Don't shut down the idea entirely. Oh, wow, that's a good idea. Thanks for bringing that to me. Let's roll with that for a little. Don't give her time to panic long before the vote even happens. You want to save that amount of panic till seconds before tribal so that she doesn't have time to scramble, switch her vote, talk to anybody else, you know?
Very true. They don't react well, and Emily's on to them. She sniffs it out. We get tree mail at this point. We haven't seen tree mail in a long time.
A rare tree mail. Honestly, when I started watching Survivor on season 30, I honestly never saw a tree mail until I went back. I had no idea. Supposedly, tree mail used to come before every challenge, and it was always kind of a poem. I think they still get them, but they don't show them.
Yeah, they don't air it.
And this one had to be shown because they allude back to what was written on it.
Yeah, they do. The message from Tree Mail basically gives them a task before the immunity challenge.
Two tasks.
Two tasks.
Yeah.
What are the two tasks?
The first is to panic.
Oh, yeah.
It literally says you should have anxiety.
Okay. Yeah, the first task, panic. Check.
I
think, to be honest, Katurah was already there.
Yeah.
The second task is to divide into 3 groups of 3. And they know this is going to come into play in the challenge of some sort. They don't know how. So it could be that they're competing together. It could be that they're competing against each other. They don't really know. Could be, again, that they're just in separate tribes and they're going to be separated for the rest of the day until tribal council that night. They don't know.
Yeah.
Dieta does Astrology Girl a little dirty.
I know. I felt a little bad for her.
She raises her hand and says, "Who wants to be with me?" And crickets.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be with her. But it was
a little cringy for her.
So they separate out. Drew says, we should separate into one strong guy, one strong girl, and then a weakling.
Yeah.
And then as he eats a scoop of rice, he says, "I don't think I'm one of the strong ones."
That is something that only could have been said by a weakling.
Yeah, this was a great episode for Drew. I thought.
It was.
He had some good moments, and this was one of them. So they separate into the 3 groups. Did you write these down?
No.
I did. I got them for you. So we have the yellow group.
You can't count on me to get a logistic breakdown. But if you want to know what sort of toppings were on a sandwich, come to me.
That's right. The yellow group is made up of Kendra, Julie, and Bruce. Julie being the weakling. I'm going to identify each weakling.
Oh, I like that.
The blue group is made up of Austin, Emily, and Katurah. Obviously, Emily is the weakling there. And the red group is made up of Jake, Drew, and Dee. Drew being the weakling in this particular group.
I like that breakdown.
Before they go to the challenge, Julie's worried because she's the only one that doesn't have numbers. Her alliance is split. So it's her against Katurah and Bruce. If those 3 were to go to a tribal council by themselves, which has never happened before, probably will never happen. But, the first item on the list was panic. So she's doing great.
Yeah.
With the panic.
Check.
Yeah. So she goes to Austin and says, "I'm going to get voted out." And he, without hesitation, gives her, quote unquote, the idol, what she thinks is the only idol, but he knows it's an idol.
I think Austin, once again, is playing such a fantastic game. Because he has another secret idol, he can play this other idol a little more loosey-goosey. He can use it as a sign of trust in his alliance. If that was his only idol, I don't think he's passing it out like that.
I think you're right.
But they're under the impression it is his only idol, and so this gesture goes really far.
Definitely.
I have another thought on this idol exchange. Like you mentioned, the It doesn't happen where she has to go to tribal council. And I think in any other situation, they wouldn't have shown this. So I think this means one of two things. Like I mentioned a few episodes ago, there's a rule in cinema and film that I really like. If you're going to show a gun in the first act, then the gun has to come into play in the second act. So this is a useless piece of information right now. Their time is valuable. This needs to come back into play. So I think either next episode, Austin's going to have a hard time getting his idol back from Julie. Something's going to happen with that. Or when Austin makes it to the final 3 and Julie is in the jury or one of his competitors, he's going to use this as part of his resume. But just mark my words, this is coming back somehow. Otherwise, they wouldn't have shown this otherwise pointless idol exchange.
I bet it does come back into play as soon as next episode. We get to the immunity challenge, but we're going to take a quick break before the challenge. With Christmas less than 2 months away, now is the perfect time to head over to Jancy & Co. to snag some of those great holiday deals for that special someone in your life. Macrame, embroideries, weavings, Jancy & Co. is here to make the perfect alliance with your holiday shopping needs. For a limited time, save 26% with code HOLIDAYMERGE at Jancy & Co. on Etsy and at jancyand.com.
I pride myself on being a good gift giver, and I think the main element to that is getting something that is unique or personalized for that person. That's why we love partnering with Jancy, because everything is unique, handmade, and it's going to be a one-of-a-kind gift.
Absolutely. That's Jancy & Co. on Etsy or jancyand.com, spelled JANCYANN.com. All right, Mags, you ready to give us a challenge breakdown?
Yeah, and it's a long one.
Oh, yeah.
So if we go over on time, this is to blame.
This is why.
Okay.
Put us on 1.5 speed for this one.
So for this challenge, they are separated into their 3 groups of 3. For the first stage, they retrieve a disc and use it to balance a ball as they navigate a balance beam. Once all 3 players are across, they have to race to dig up 3 rope rungs. The first 2 groups to finish will move on to the next race. For the second stage, they will use those rope rungs to build a rope bridge. Once each player is across, they race to land 3 balls on 3 very small ring targets. First group to finish moves on to the final round. For the final round, they are no longer on a team and have to compete against each other in an endurance challenge where they will stand with their arms stretched out to their sides and their fingertips pressed against 2 wooden discs. When their disc drops, they are out.
There are some additional twists. The first 2 stages, obviously, they're competing as teams, and the winning team from the first 2 stages gets split into individuals. Best individual wins immunity. However, the losing team, the team that doesn't make it out of the first round, that team has all 3 members lose their vote for tonight's tribal council.
Which is crazy.
Never been done before.
Yeah.
They are then sent on a journey to try and earn their vote back.
Yep.
Whatever that looks like, we don't know. So, extra high stakes to not be the loser. And then, of course, you still want to make it to the end. The team that makes it to the end, regardless of who wins individual immunity, those 3 get a reward as well. They get to go to the sanctuary. That's the additional twist. You have a reward for the winning team and a huge punishment for the losing team.
This was a very quote-y episode. Quotable, some might say.
Yes.
When Jeff announces the reward and says the sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
The sanctuary. Wow, that is a weird word. Sanctuary. Right?
It's a weird one.
Am I saying it right? Sanctuary.
Yeah, sanctuary.
The sanctuary were good. Really? Sanctuary? Sanctuary.
No, sanctuary.
Wow, the more we're saying it, the further away I get. Anyways, he says the sanctuary where good things happen. And Jake says, I like good things. I like good things. Good things are good.
That's right. I like good things.
It's almost like he's like an AI bot that's broken. I like good things. I like good things. Good things are good.
Writing a Dr. Seuss children's book
Yeah.
about good things. Yes, they start the challenge here. It begins. My very first thought was, who's going to throw the challenge? If you're Jake, you're on the same team as 2 Reba Alliance members. Not a bad idea to throw the challenge and make sure you lose your vote, but 2 Reba Alliance members also lose their vote.
Wow, I didn't even think about that.
End of the day, it's a good thing that he didn't do that.
Right.
It probably would have been a bad move. And all the Bellow members voted for him last tribal, so he's not really aligned with them anymore.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that he didn't throw the challenge, but just, playing devil's advocate here, thinking of
That's what we're here for.
alternate moves that could have been made. In the first stage, they're going through doing the balance beam things, and Red falls behind. That's Jake, Drew, and Dee, just because Jake and Drew struggle on the balance beam. But when they finally make it to the digging portion where they're digging for those ropes,
Yeah.
they more than make up for it.
Yeah.
They're the fastest team to find their ropes by far. Comes down to yellow and blue. They're both looking for their last rope. They have to find 3 of them. They just need that last one. And yellow pulls it up, and blue ends up being the last team and the team that loses their vote. As a reminder, blue, the team that loses their vote, is made up of Austin, Emily, and Katura.
Emily can't catch a break. And honestly, my heart hurts for her.
My heart hurts for her, but in a much more real sense, she was terrible at digging.
Really?
Yeah, did you watch her?
No.
I don't know. She must have just been exhausted, but I was watching. She's just like crouching, like she was playing in the sandbox.
No. Really?
Check the tape. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go and take a screen recording and I'll post it on our Instagram. I'll link it in our show notes.
I don't want to say she deserved it, but
You're also not saying that.
she earned it with her actions. Those 3 have to go on the journey to re-earn their vote, and yellow and red move on to the next stage of the challenge. The second stage begins. They start building their rope bridges, if you will, and Bruce is right at home. Like he does this all the time.
Yeah, he whips right through this.
He just cruised through it. He was like sitting there he looked comfortable too. Everybody else looked awkward.
What's Bruce's job? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't, but just looking at him, it looks like a rope bridge builder of some sort based on this performance. He seems happy as a clam.
Yeah,
up there.
he did so good.
Mm-hmm. He finishes first, but they still have the ball section and they have to wait for all of their teammates to finish. Red gets everybody to the ball section. That's Drew, D, and Jake. They get everybody to the ball section before Kendra is able to finish her rope bridge. So Bruce's speed is completely wasted here.
Right.
They start with the ball section. Jake is up there first. And we talked about this with Caleb. These are like basketball-sized balls.
Mm-hmm.
And, when that basketball hit Caleb's hands, we just knew that he was a baller. As soon as Jake picked up that ball and got into his shooting motion to put that thing on that target, I knew it was over for them.
What did you think about them throwing it overhand?
I think you probably had to, just
Okay.
based on the angles. Like I said, they're not coconuts.
Mm-hmm.
If they were coconuts, maybe underhanded would have been easier. Jake pretty much blows the challenge for his team. Drew is able to put one up there.
Mm-hmm.
Dee is able to put one up there.
Dee puts it up there with minimal effort, looking cool as possible. She basically does a layup. All right? I know that about sports. I know what a layup is. And that was one. And a clean one at that.
There's no backboard either.
Yeah.
It was a swish.
Mm-hmm. So maybe she balls. I tried it and it just didn't come out naturally.
Maybe she balls.
They say that, don't they?
You don't have to say balls like that. It's a verb, not a noun.
Maybe she plays balls.
Maybe she... They lose. All right. These balls aside.
These balls. Like these nuts.
They lose this stage of the challenge. And the yellow team, really nobody could have predicted this. The yellow team made up of Kendra, Julie, and Bruce proves to be the strongest three competitors in the game, and they make it to the individual portion of this reward/immunity challenge. The individual portion begins. They are standing there, arms spread eagle, holding up two, what would you have said?
I just don't think you can say spread eagle about the arms. I think spread eagle is specifically about the legs.
Eagles have tiny legs. That doesn't make any sense.
I know. I understand that the phrase doesn't seem right, but I don't think when you say spread eagle, people imagine what we would need them to imagine.
Yes.
But in all reality, what I would have said is arms stretched out to the side.
They look like Spider-Man trying to hold the train together with his webs.
No, don't let Sam confuse you, because in that he's pulling together, and this they're pushing outward.
Yeah. But
Just imagine you're in a hallway and you have your hands on both sides of the wall. Kendra's seems further away than Bruce's.
Yeah.
And I know that when they do this, you know, they aren't just three generic stations. They are custom to the player, you know, they're take measurements. Right.
Yeah.
Kendra's thumbs can't touch hers.
Really?
Her thumbs weren't reaching it.
What?
Bruce's thumbs were on there, and in fact, his fingers had a little bit of give, like they were bent.
Yeah.
I'll take a screenshot of that also and put it in the post, but it just didn't, it seemed like maybe just like, a few centimeters off, but that can make a difference.
Doesn't make a big difference.
4 fingers versus 5 is a huge deal.
Well, we're also going to need our Kendra's thumb measurements. Maybe she just has tiny thumbs.
Yeah.
Or extra long fingers.
And I would do great in that challenge. Look at my thumbs.
You have long thumbs.
Yeah.
For everyone listening, those are enormous thumbs.
Well, I don't know about enormous so much as beautifully delicate.
You'd do great. You wouldn't even need your fingers. You just have your thumbs out there. Instead, Kendra, how do I put this? In this challenge, incredible effort. I felt like I was watching an Olympic athlete just push their body to the limits, you know?
Yeah.
Or like maybe a David Blaine stunt.
Yeah.
But at this very same time, I wanted to change the channel.
Yeah, don't know how else to say it besides like it was just a touch uncomfortable.
It was a touch uncomfortable. And it wouldn't have been as bad maybe if Bruce and Julie weren't standing right next to her doing the exact same thing, completely rock solid. But Kendra is shaking and moving.
And like contorting her body.
She was contorting her body. She kept letting the little plates slip.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. And then she'd have to try and push them back up with her fingertips. And it looked awful. And her arms were shaking so badly. And her shoulders were popped out of their sockets.
It was like in that last freaky season of Stranger Things. And when Vecna would get its prey and they would kind of like distort. Those were the vibes I was getting from her. And I was like, girl, this is Survivor. Don't freak me out like that.
Relax. She's just going to raise up into the air.
Yeah.
She was doing all she could. So it was admirable. It was a heroic moment. Honestly, good for Kendra. She really did. I really did admire. I thought, wow, she is giving it every little bit. If I were out there, as soon as my arms started to shake, I'd think, well, I'm going to only last 10 more seconds. I might as well drop out now. Kendra drops out after an intense battle, and it's down once again to Julie and Bruce. The same two finalists.
I actually like that.
The two oldest.
I love that for them.
It's not a great sign for the rest of the pack.
You're right. It's not a great look.
For now 2 immunity challenges in a row, the 2 oldest people have been the contenders.
If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. That's why I like the endurance challenges, because it's not always about physical strength.
Now, I'm not ageist, but we got to get these old people out of here. Anyway, back to Julie. She's also struggling. She eventually drops, and Bruce never really struggled in this challenge. He had one moment at the very beginning where it kind of started to slip, and he caught it, and he was making a face as if he had just been woken up from the deepest stage of sleep and he didn't know where he was. Seriously, it snapped him into attention.
Yeah.
And he locked it in after that and didn't show really any signs of weakness. It really an impressive play here by Bruce to win this immunity challenge.
Now my question is Bruce going to be a challenge beast?
Yes.
You have to ask.
Good question.
When people get 2 wins in a row, it becomes a very real possibility.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I have to issue a public apology. A couple of episodes ago, I was talking about how Bruce is a goat that will be taken to the end because nobody likes him. That's not true anymore. Mm-hmm. While I don't think he's playing a great game strategically.
And socially.
Yeah. He is making himself a threat by winning these challenges. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, I like that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it because it means as soon as he doesn't win an immunity, they're going to try and flush his idol. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't win immunity twice, he's gone.
Right.
So I appreciate that he's winning these and making himself more of a contender because it makes it less likely that he's going to be brought to the end as a goat.
Yeah, I agree. At this point, he has got an argument for why he should be the sole survivor.
Yeah, he's cornering the market on one of the 3 main pillars, right? You have outwit, outplay, outlast. He is kind of starting to dominate the outplay section.
He is.
Of that. Those 3, Kendra, Julie, and Bruce, get to go to the sanctuary to eat their rotisserie chicken.
Rotisserie chicken.
One singular uno.
No plates, no forks.
Chicken.
A table with a chicken on it. I'm telling you guys, the Survivor budget has never been lower.
They are slashing every expense.
No sides, no drinks. It was just a chicken.
Just a chicken.
This has never been done as a reward before.
No plates.
This is so weird.
No forks or knives.
I didn't like it.
Since when are they treating these players like animals?
I know, seriously. The rewards used to be really fun, and I know you guys are sick of us saying this, but they used to go to waterfalls that were also natural water slides.
They used to go play soccer with the kids from the local village.
Yeah, and deliver school supplies and food.
It's crazy. They went to the local Fijian Sam's Club, bought a rotisserie chicken, brought it back, just dumped it on a table. Mm-hmm. Honestly, I'd rather have the rice.
I would too, speaking of the rice. A sad, sad scene plays on the beach back at home.
This is the middle team. The team that didn't lose, but they also didn't win. So yeah, they lost. They just weren't the worst losers. Mm-hmm. They go back to their home beach while all the other teams either go to the sanctuary or on the journey. And they think, we didn't get a rotisserie chicken, so we're going to make some extra rice. 3 more scoops for us. And they boil the rice. And Jake leaves. I don't know where he goes.
Why would you leave at this point when the rice is almost done?
Well, I usually have to go to the bathroom right when dinner's ready.
Yeah, you do. And it's your most annoying trait.
I understood where Jake was coming from here. So that's probably just that manly urge to go right when dinner's getting ready. So it leaves Drew and Dee, who have some fun while Jake is gone. They think, hey, should we portion it up evenly? They think, nah, let's just eat as much as we want.
I really didn't like this.
Is all of it.
Yeah.
You didn't like this? I thought this was great.
I mean, it was funny. It was great TV. But personality-wise, I don't know what this really says about those guys. I don't want to read into it too deeply, but for me, I'm I don't know. This seems to go a little bit beyond the Survivor game. You guys are all out there starving.
They left him lots of rice.
No, they didn't. They left him the
rice.
The burnt bits on the bottom. And the saddest part is that they lie to him when they come back. They're like, oh yeah, it got burnt, so we had to throw some of it out. And then Jake is like, oh, well, I appreciate you guys saving me this bit. And it's so sad. And
they were so kind.
Yeah. And if I were Jake, I'd be like, where's the burnt bits? I'll eat that. I'll eat anything.
Yeah.
And
You
also,
threw that out?
how could you burn it? You guys were just sitting right here. This is our only source of food. How lax do you have to be to let our one food burn?
It's just so great because obviously they didn't let it burn. They cook it. They open it. Jake's not there. Drew is just, well, it's not divided evenly. Let's just take a little extra of his portion. And he eats it all. And then Dee says, you ate all of it. And Drew says, what? Seriously? Did we not set aside some for him? What do you mean set aside some for him? We got just another pot?
Yeah.
You're eating off of like pieces of wood.
Yeah.
Like, what are you setting anything aside? You don't have like a Tupperware.
Yeah.
You put it in the fridge so you can microwave it later. Back at the sanctuary, Bruce is digging into this rotisserie chicken with the kind of desire that we all wanted him to have with the chocolate cake.
Yeah.
That was the energy
exactly. Yeah. With that chocolate cake, whenever he was just like dipping his pinky in it and nibbling the frosting off, versus the chicken where he like grabs it by the leg and just like
rips off the drumstick. Yep. Thought this was great to see him eating. He's feeling a little bit better now that he's eaten. He's getting over the Kelly, hearing about Kelly slandering his good name. And they start talking about names. Kendra throws out Dee's name because she thinks that low-key Dee and Austin might be in love.
And that they should get married outside of the show.
Yeah,
Kendra's words, not mine.
She loves a good showmance, but they need to cut it out.
I admire that nobody has discovered how close Austin and Drew are. They have done such a great job not looking like a duo.
Yeah.
But Austin needs to be careful because he does have the appearance of being a duo with Dee at this point.
Oh, not to mention he's madly in love with her.
Yeah, truly, deeply.
Burning love. So other than that, though, he's doing a great job.
Yeah. But Julie hates that idea. And she shuts it down real fast.
Yeah.
Again, none of these people really know how to have these conversations, in my opinion. She says she is on the bottom of her alliance.
Which is the right play in that spot.
But then when somebody else says, okay, well then let's get out the head honcho on that alliance you feel like you're on the bottom of, it looks bad for you to be like, well, I don't know about that. You at least got to entertain the idea for a minute. You know what I mean? Yeah. Otherwise, they're not going to believe that you're on the bottom.
That's why it's so shocking to me, Bruce's reaction right here. Because you're absolutely right. Julie starts playing it the right way, but as soon as she gets tested on it, she doesn't stick with what she's trying to do. Right. And Bruce shocks me as soon as Julie suggests that Jake should be the one to go home. Bruce says, yeah, sure. Okay. Let's get out. And not just says it, means it.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part to me.
Yes, it was so crazy. Like, he is going to be your only lifeline out here.
And this has happened every vote. He's not looking ahead at the future.
Right.
He's voting out his potential allies. Like he somehow does not recognize that Reba is together. He says in a talking head, the tribal lines have disappeared.
Yeah.
And all he's saying is, I'm not aligned with the Bello people anymore.
Yes.
But he cannot see that the Reba tribe is still all working together.
And super strong.
Which is exactly why Julie doesn't want to vote out Dee and was suggesting Jake. And he can't see that. He won't see it for whatever reason. At the end of the day, at the end of this little powwow, Jake is the name that they all settle on.
Right.
Kendra goes along with it because Bruce did. And they have lost all leverage in any kind of conversation.
Right. It shows a talking head of Julie saying, why on earth would I vote out Dee? I will never write her name down. That is who I want to be sitting with at the end of this game. Why?
Come on, Julie.
That is going to be her downfall in this game. Nobody should want to sit next to Dee at the end of this game. Specifically, you, Julie, who followed her around, at least through the eyes of everybody else. Looks like you just followed her around, did what she told you to do. That's not a great look for her. And if she goes to the final 3 with D, no chance she's winning. She has the same resume, but not the leadership of it, and she's not a storyteller.
Yeah, Julie's in trouble if that's her plan.
Yep.
Over on the journey, they're walking to their own separate paths. They're told they will all have a chance to earn their vote back. They go their separate ways and come to a table where they are told they have a 3-minute challenge to solve a logic puzzle to earn their vote back.
My initial thought is these are 3 great contestants to solve this puzzle.
It's a math puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
So it has the numbers 9 counting down to 1. So 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in order from left to right. And then an equal sign and 100. They have 3 addition signs and 1 subtraction sign. They have 3 minutes to figure out where to place those addition and subtraction signs to make the equation work.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really fascinating puzzle.
Yeah.
With a really intense time restriction on it. If you're not good at mental math, this is nearly impossible.
Right.
I thought right away, investment analyst Emily Flippin.
Yeah, right.
This is her challenge.
I think we all did. And she acknowledges that. She says, I think people assume that I'm really good at math, specifically mental math, whenever I tell them that that's my career. And the honest truth is I'm not good at mental math. She says that when she tried to do it, like her mind just went black. And I get that. The timer adds this crazy level of stress. She may have been able to solve this in 3 minutes under regular circumstances with no timer. But when the timer goes, Couture mentions it too, you can fall into this trap of just looking at the time and then just being like, it's almost like when you're trying to fall asleep and you're like, if I fall asleep now, I can get 8 hours of sleep. Okay, if I fall asleep now, I can get 7.5 hours of sleep. Or like you just keep thinking about the time and then therefore you can't do what you're actually trying to do.
When this started, I thought about, 8th grade math teachers, they get trolled quite a bit because they always, when we were all kids, they'd say, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket all the time. And now we make fun of that. We say, suck on this. I got a phone with a calculator on me all the time.
You got a watch with a calculator on it all the time.
Yeah. And we ridicule them.
Mm-hmm.
We run them out of town. But now they get their revenge.
Yep.
No calculators on Survivor.
And it may have cost them $1 million.
I guarantee you there were some old retired math teachers standing up, pointing at their TVs saying, this is why you memorize your subtraction and addition tables.
Absolutely.
Emily and Couture both lose their votes. They're not able to solve the math puzzle. But Austin gets his back.
Yeah, I was so excited for him.
He solves it with a few seconds to spare. Mm-hmm. He gets it right. I was floored. I mean, we already knew that Austin was good at a lot of things.
Right.
And he's clearly in the most powerful position in the game.
Yeah.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
But he is legitimately probably one of the best Survivor players we've had in a long time.
Yeah, he's extremely well-rounded.
He really is.
He kind of hits the nail right on the head when he says, I know I kind of look just like brawny dude, surfer guy, but I'm actually like getting my MBA. And look at him. He's got the brains too.
Yeah, really smart. He's making smart, calculated decisions.
Yeah. Emily was so hard on herself right here. It was really hard to watch. You could tell real insecurity is showing through, and she's beating herself up about it, and it's really sad.
I think Emily puts a lot of stock into her career, and she was embarrassed because of what she does for a living that she wasn't able to do that puzzle.
Right.
When in reality, being an investment analyst has so little to do with what that puzzle is. Because in reality, you do have a calculator all the time.
Right.
You do have computer programs and ways to calculate things very, very quickly without having to do all that mental math. Mm-hmm. You don't need those skills to be successful at what she does.
Yeah.
Back at the Dakuaka beach, Both groups get back at the same time, both the Sanctuary and the Journey group. They're pulling up to the beach. Dee says, look at these tribe. Like, look at them. They look good coming up on the beach. You know who she was talking about.
I was going to say they, a.k.a. Austin, a.k.a. her honey.
Speaking of her honey, his best friend, Drew, sitting on the beach says, oh, yeah, look at those sexy tribe mates.
There's like this popular video that's going around that's a compilation of all the times where Ron and Hermione are having a tender moment, and then it'll zoom out and Harry's just right there. And it's like, you and me and me and you and your friend Steve, and then, it'll show him. That is like, but in all of them, Harry's like oblivious to being like a third wheel, and that's what the vibes this gave me.
Yeah, that's Drew.
Like, Drew has no idea that he's a third wheel.
No, yeah. Austin lies, says he's lost his vote as well. So all three of them come back saying, I don't have a vote. I thought, what a bold move it would be if Keturah just came back and said, yeah, I won, I have a vote.
I know. I kind of wondered if there was a upside to doing that.
I don't see one.
Me either. And it seems like neither did they.
Yeah, I probably would have done the same thing that they did. Austin, of course, decides to come clean to his alliance, which he has a good point. It has been a major source of trust between those four, him, Drew, Dee, and Julie, being open and honest about his idol, about everything.
Right. Not
his secret idol that only Drew really knows about, but about the amulet idol.
Right.
And all of that. So Austin's, showing off for Dee, basically. Wants to tell him just for that. Just be like, yeah, your boy's a smart guy, all right? A genius, regular Einstein. And you gotta love it. The producers loved it too. They hug a couple times. It's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
And they start planning. Okay, now we've got the majority vote. So if Emily and Keturah really did lose their vote, it's the 4 Reba members versus Jake, Bruce, and Kendra. 4 versus 3 in this vote. So they're basically deciding between, do we want to vote Jake out or do we want to vote Kendra out? This is interesting because Julie has a personal vendetta against Jake. Jake wrote her name down. She says, quote, he obviously will not work with me because he wrote my name down, end quote. Unfortunately, Julie, it's not 2008 anymore.
Yeah.
Ring, ring. Hello. It's 2023 calling.
Jake will work with anybody. He's desperate.
He's working with anybody and everybody who is willing to work with him. Doesn't matter whose name got written down. But hey, irrationality. That's what we love. Similarly, Dee has heard that Kendra wants to vote her out. So Dee is hell-bent on voting Kendra out as fast as possible.
Right.
So here's what we have. We have Dee, the unstoppable force, pushing for Kendra to be voted out. We have Julie, who shall from henceforth be known as the movable object, pushing for Jake. And what will happen when the unstoppable force meets the movable object?
That was a very accurate picture you painted, just barely.
My prediction was that Kendra was going to go home before Tribal Council because that was the situation with the unstoppable force versus the movable object. I think I can deduce who's going to win and who's going to go home here.
So Julie's face was so sad. You can watch her face die in that moment when she suggests to Dee that they get Jake out, and Dee just shuts it down, and her emotions, there's no hiding them. They are displayed right there on her face.
This has happened before, right? Where Dee really wanted to vote somebody, and Julie and her other tribe mates disagreed, and it was Sifu, right? Julie changed it to vote out the quitter. Who was it? Sean. When Sean quit, Julie changed her vote. But guess who didn't change?
D. That's right.
D will not be convinced to vote anybody other than who she wants to vote for.
Speaking of that, I did see an interview with Jeff saying quitters will no longer get their torches snuffed, which I appreciate.
I appreciate that too. I think they should also extend it to people who are bad at the game, even if they didn't intentionally quit. If they just stunk, I think that they should not get their torch snuffed. It's time to raise the bar.
The last thing I thought before they go to tribal council was Julie should get with Kendra and Bruce and Jake and get D out. I know this was a large order because she had just stuck her neck out for D, but when I saw her face fall like that, I thought, here we go. She's realizing now that D thinks she's the mob boss. I'm telling you now that's going to be an episode title. But all this to say, she could have got the Misfits and the Scragglers band together and made a huge move. And if she truly is on the bottom of that alliance, which she is, this would have been a great move for her.
Speaking of Mod Boss, did you see the scenes from next episode?
Yeah.
It comes up.
Oh, it does?
Uh-huh.
Who?
Well, I don't want to spoil it, but Drew says it about somebody. It's about Jake. He says it about Jake.
Really?
Jake thinks he's a mob boss, yeah. Which is hilarious because you've
Given
been saying that this is going to happen at some point last season. We get to Tribal Council, which starts with a tearful review of Kelly getting brutally backstabbed by her tribe mates.
Yeah.
Kendra is still broken up about it because Kelly was her first friend out there.
Yeah.
Not her best friend, just her first one. But man,
first mean a lot.
Just watching Kelly and Caleb on the bench in the jury area, thinking about them hanging out in Ponderosa. If I were still in the game, I might just volunteer to get voted out just so I can go hang out with them.
I would like to be with those two.
Those two seem like fun.
Caleb's energy, even from the jury bench, is immaculate.
You can just tell he loves having a buddy.
Oh, yeah, he does.
Like, oh, I'm just going to whisper somebody.
Yeah. And I got to say, we owe Kelly a little bit of an apology.
Why is that?
I posted a TikTok a few weeks ago when they were doing that challenge of lifting that really heavy cage.
Oh, yeah.
And I zeroed in and I said, she's faking it. And I likened her unto Rachel from Friends, who doesn't help carry the couch up.
Mm-hmm.
And just says, oh, this is really heavy for you guys, not for me because I'm not helping.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, she commented on it.
She did. She responded.
She responded. And she said, LMAO girl, you are 100% right. I was trying to save my energy for the rebound.
Yeah, that was the plan, supposedly, she said. The plan was for her to not really help. So
I like
she
Kelly.
could have energy.
And so I'm taking her word for it.
Yeah.
And my apologies.
We stand corrected.
Yep, I stand corrected.
Not corrected, but what we said was confirmed, but it was just part of the plan.
Yeah, that's right.
She was not just a slacker.
Yep.
She was being a team player.
Caleb and Kelly are being so cute over there on that bench. And if I didn't know any better that Kelly had a girlfriend back at home, I would think these two were in love. But you're right. That's a duo I'd like to hang out with.
During this tribal council, did you had to Google the sword of Damocles?
I would have Googled it if I knew how to spell it. It's kind of one of those situations where you keep typing, but like it's so misspelled that like Google doesn't know how to help you.
I saw it's the name of the episode, this episode.
Okay.
And I thought, we talked about how if you misspeak, they make fun of you.
Right.
And make it the name of the episode. I thought someone was trying to say like sword of Democrats or something and said it wrong. And they were just making fun of them. But no, apparently it's a real thing.
Okay. Did you look it up?
It's like a Greek god. And their sword hangs over you. It's like a phrase you would use to indicate that something bad is going to happen to you.
Ooh, okay.
But it hasn't dropped yet. So the sword of Damocles is hanging over you. That's what that means.
Okay, interesting.
Drew uses this in reference to Bruce winning the immunity challenges because sure, he has the necklace on now, but the more he wins, the bigger that sword gets hanging over his head, ready to drop at any moment. As soon as he stops winning immunity, it's going to drop.
Articulate.
Drew is next level.
That's what I'm telling you. He's a storyteller.
He really is. We've been complaining a little bit about the level.
That's what we do. We get on here and we complain.
but specifically about the level of gameplay this season
Right.
from some of the players, most of the players.
Mm-hmm.
There are some players like Austin, for example, who have been great. But even the players that we like Caleb and Kelly, have not been incredible players.
Please don't speak ill about the dead.
They're just
but I know what you mean.
They're on the jury for a reason.
Right.
They're incredible people, very likable, but they're not the best of players.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been my biggest gripe this season. And nowhere is this summarized more than when Drew is talking about how the 3 people going on the journey makes it tough because you don't know if there's 6 votes tonight or 7 or 8 or 9 votes tonight. And Kendra looks around like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Did somebody have their vote back?
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff looks at her like, what do you mean? And Kendra says, well, I guess I hadn't thought about it yet, that somebody might be lying about it.
Yeah.
And just the fact that she hasn't thought that someone might be lying just speaks volumes to the level that she's playing at.
Yeah.
Right? And to still have someone like that in season 45 is a little bit mind-boggling to me.
It's true.
Because we've had past seasons, 41, 42, and even seasons before that, we didn't have players like this.
Yeah.
Every single player that came out was suspicious of everything and everyone.
Yeah.
And was planning 2, 3, 4 moves ahead, which led to some incredible tribals and some incredible moments.
Totally. Take Emily at the beginning of the season. Remember? That was the very first journey that they went on, the Savvy versus Sweat. She said, whatever they say when they come back, they're lying.
Mm-hmm.
She said that.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me wonder if she had a similar conversation this time that didn't get shown.
One more example in the votes. We'll spoil it. We have one more example in the votes that I'll get into, but there are a lot of missed opportunities by players this season because they're not thinking about everything.
Right. Caleb says something interesting. The jury can't speak to the players, but you will get little subtitles of them whispering to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb notes that Bruce has been safe 16 out of the 17 days.
Yeah.
Incredible. This is just what you're saying. This is getting to be quite the resume builder for Bruce.
Definitely. But it also leads to why he's playing this imaginary game.
Right. He's had this illusion of safety the whole time.
Exactly. Because he's safe, he's completely selling his team.
Yeah.
He's giving away his numbers because he doesn't understand the importance of them.
Mm-hmm. Austin is wearing his buff in a way I've never seen before. He is wearing it like a beanie with a knot tied, a little miniature knot tied on his forehead. It was interesting. I'll take a screenshot.
The votes are cast. Austin hustles up there, writes down the name as fast as he can because he still wants everybody to think he doesn't have a vote. So he just needed to be up there for the same amount of time for him to read the note that's firm yet polite that tells him to go have a seat. But they write their votes, and it comes back 1 vote for Jake. That was from Kendra.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 votes for Kendra, which means that both Jake and Bruce also voted for Kendra.
Yeah.
This is my other gripe.
Okay, let's hear it.
Bruce is voting for Kendra.
Mm-hmm.
What is Bruce doing? Where is he going?
Right.
Jake is already companionless.
Right. He's
just trying to get in. Bruce had a companion. It was Kendra. Him voting.
I hadn't even thought about this. You're so right.
Him voting for Kendra doesn't change anything. It doesn't put him into the Reba alliance. It doesn't make him less of a target. All it does is kill a jury vote for him.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If he votes for Jake with Kendra, Kendra is way more likely to respect him and give him a vote at the end.
If Bruce makes it to the end, he's going to have some explaining to do.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He's completely lost in the strategy side of the game. But he's winning these challenges, so he continues on.
All right.
Brutal vote out for Kendra. She goes home to join her best friend, and no one's going to toast. Let's get to our voting stats.
Okay. Voting stats. Bruce, 1 vote. Dee, 1 vote. Emily, 1 vote. Drew, 2 votes. Julie, 2 votes. And Jake, 4 votes.
Jake's got 4 votes. He picks up another one tonight. Mm-hmm. Everyone else is unchanged.
And we have 2 players that remain voteless, which would be Austin and Katura.
Dodging. I still can't believe Austin doesn't have a vote on him.
I know. Incredible.
Or even anyone talking about voting for him.
Right?
All right, let's get to our best and worst move. You've got worst move. You can go first.
Yeah, I think the worst move here was Julie not being willing to get rid of Dee. I think in the end, this is really going to be something she looks back on and regrets.
Yes. Now. Mm-hmm. Even now, as she rewatches the episodes with her family. Mm-hmm. I've got best move. I got to give my best move to Austin. I mean, him winning again. Yeah, him winning his vote back, mm-hmm. and him being willing to share with his alliance, not just his information, but his extra idol.
Right.
To gain and keep that trust. I mean, he is so well liked, but he's not well liked because of his charisma. Not that he doesn't have it, he does, but he's well liked because he is honest.
Yeah.
And shares and just treats people well, right? He's not overly funny or overly charming. He does a good job of flying under the radar while at the same time building strong relationships.
I agree 1,000%.
Pretty impressive stuff. All right, let's get to our mailbag. What was last week's question?
We wanted to know if people agreed with Jake. Were people playing hard?
Our first response came from Holly from Nevada. Jake is completely right. It feels like old school Survivor, and I ain't here for that. Thank you, Holly. Our next one is from Maddie in Houston. I have to agree with Jake here. People have not been playing Survivor until this episode, meaning the episode they voted out Kelly. The fact that they are just going along with the pack and not thinking 2-3 turns ahead is just crazy to me.
Yeah.
Besides Jake, most people have just been doing what other people tell them to do, even if it doesn't make much sense for them in the long run. Mm-hmm. It is so frustrating to watch, especially when they just all went along with the original plan to get Caleb out. Still bitter about that. But now it is getting so good. Things are ramping up and it's so fun to watch. Thank you, Maddie. Some people are starting to play the game. Some people are still not playing the game, but the people who aren't are being voted out. At least one was tonight. Yeah. What's our question of the week for next week?
I would like to know who you think is going to win. Now, important distinction. I'm not asking who you want to win. Who do you really think stands a chance at winning? I have one more piece of information that I had no idea where to stick in there, but just a little update. Franny and Matt.
Yes.
Still together, hit their 1-year anniversary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give it up for Franny and Matt.
So just had to say that.
What a showmance.
I know. Their goals. I mean, even if Dee and Austin get together, it wouldn't be like Franny and Matt. Their on-screen chemistry was palpable.
They were great. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe Dee and Austin's romance blossoms.
Yeah. Well, if you got a good answer for our mailbag, you can email it to us at themergefeastpod@gmail.com. It will also be linked in the show notes.
Of course, you can always follow us on our social media accounts. We are at The Merge Feast Pod on TikTok and Instagram, or at The Merge Feast on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Thanks for listening, you guys, and happy Thanksgiving.